Hello, and welcome to the Crowfall Advanced Crafting Guide, Runic Book of Arkon Part 1. Today's episode will cover the jewel crafter's process in the creation of this weapon. Now before we begin, let's make sure your Codex of Mystical Power is equipped in your scroll case slot, otherwise you're not going to get very far. As you can see by my details, I am max crafting, and this is an advanced guide, not for beginners. So let us start the process out with our jewel cut. If you have your runic book equipped, it'll come out spherical as an option. If you do not have it equipped, you won't have this option. For this craft, we will be creating a legendary sapphire weapon cut. The reasons for that is because my client requested higher than normal intelligence and attack power. So that's why I'm using a legendary instead of an epic, just to guarantee those results for him. Now, you don't need pot pies for jewel crafting unless you're actually making jewelry, but I always recommend using bond tippers. Let's begin by cutting the gem. The diamond cutting blades can be crafted from the stonemason table, along with the polishing paste and grinding stones for the next steps. As you can see, this is a success, and now I am allocating my experimentation points. I always craft on Are You Insane, which is the highest difficulty, which gives me bonus points of 5.43%. Now, the reason it is 5.43% instead of slightly lower is because I have attention to details equipped in my minor discipline slot. Now, always make sure you are on the correct risk difficulty based on your abilities. Are you insane? And now let's run this experiment. Now, normally I skip over and just look at the end result, but for demonstrating in this video, it shows 115.72. The highest cap right now is 120.8%, and this is without rerolls, so I can safely assume if I small reroll this instead of burning the chaos embers, which would be 10 since it's legendary, I should be able to reach 120.8%, or at the very least pretty close. Now 120.8% off of just small rerolls. Now if you look at your spherical cut sapphire on the details, the attribute's 2.48, and with a 120.8%, there's not going to be any higher as of right now. Let's move on to the next part, which would be your grind. Take the same cut sapphire and insert it into the cut gem. Before you continue on, the blood or water option, let's go over that now. Water is going to give you support power, while blood will give you attack power, and it'll also affect the end results of this weapon cut. We are wanting blood today for this craft, so put that in there along with your grinding wheel, and do not forget your bond tippers. And let's go ahead and assemble. Now, you'll see a secondary statistic, which is attack power. Let's go ahead and click all the pips and go into Are You Insane and run this experiment. So far so good, all amazing successes. Oh, one small. Not bad. Not exactly great either. Now, since it's 109.75%, it'd be safe to assume that I will not be able to reach 120.8% off of small rerolls alone. Luckily, this is a legendary, so the difference isn't going to be that much more, and I can just small reroll without having to waste the CE. Being that it's legendary, I have a little bit more wiggle room. So 118.62% really honestly is not that bad. It's not flawless, but it's pretty good. You're going to be talking about anywhere between a 0.05 to a 0.02 difference in your attack power. Please keep in mind that I'm perfectionist when it comes to this sort of stuff, so 118% is probably very good for the rest of y'all. For me, I say it's a little low. Since I'm using a legendary instead of an epic, it's more than enough. Let's move on to the polishing phase. As you see here, the ground gem is up top. Now we add a little bit of water and the polishing paste, and never forget your bond tipper. I can't stress that enough. It does help a lot. Assembled, and now we're looking at the third statistic, critical damage, allocating all pips possible, making sure the risk difficulty is Are You Insane, and for the third time, run the experiment. Now this last step is polishing, and it is gonna boost all the previous steps. As you can tell on the left side on the intellect, it was before a 2 point something, and now it's a 3.87, which would be max since it was 120.8%. The attack power is higher, and your critical damage is going to be added here. So let's go ahead and run this. Now the results are pretty decent so far. 2 greats, 3 greats, 4. Now I'm not really liking this 115%, but let's see if we can get it up to 120.8 with just another small reroll as well. Yeah, and 119.35. So it's going to be very short of flawless, but it's still going to be very decent. Definitely for what we're doing. We're basically giving him a higher quality gem instead of an epic, and it's going to really boost his stats up there quite a bit. So now normally we can go ahead and finish this and move on to the next step of creating this runic weapon. But instead I'm going to show y'all that every time you craft something, there's a possibility for different percentages. Let's take this polished weapon cut, for example, and let's make another one, just for shits and giggles. So what I mean by it can be different, because I'm sure that I'll get a lot of feedback saying, hey, my percentages aren't like yours, what happened? Well, the reason why is percentages. It's a simple fact that no matter how many times you craft something, there's a chance that it'll be different. So if you take that all into consideration, right there, I still got 120.8% on my intellect. But let's see if we can get something different on the next step. So we'll do the same steps as before. I am trying to recreate the exact same steps so that y'all know what I'm talking about. We're going to go ahead and grind this up with blood, still using our bond tippers. And let's see what this comes out to be. I haven't changed anything, but if you notice, the attack power is higher than it was previously. And let's see, 112%, I think it's about 2% higher than it was last time. Now, yes, it is not a big difference, but it's still something variable. Now, see that I small re-rolled just like I did last time, but got a 1% lower. So now this gem is going to be a little bit lower than my previous gem. Why? It's because of the percentages and how much of a variable you get. So let's go ahead and do the polishing phase and see if we can make it higher or lower. It looks like this one is going to be a little bit lower than the previous one. Yeah, 110%. If I'm not mistaken, the last one was 115%. So that's a 5% difference. And if you notice, the points, It's not that much, but it's still 5% lower. Let's see if I can small roll that back up, and no, 116%. So this gem right here is going to be inferior to the first one that I created. Please feel free to pause this video at any time during any point so that you can double check and reference it for yourself. This concludes our video for our first part of crafting the Runic Book of Arkon. I hope that all of y'all have enjoyed this video. Please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you will be among one of the first to see the next episode in this ongoing series. You can also follow me on Twitter at @cslashin. You can look me up on Twitch. If you have any personal requests, feedback, and or orders, Discord me directly, Captain Slashin 4125. Again, thank you for watching, and I wish all my fellow crows and future fellow crows out there a very safe and happy adventure.